Don't you want the story twice? Have no fear, the studio say remake so.
I have hit record. What is our editor's name?
Dan. His name is Dan.
Hi, Dan. How's it going? Hope you're doing well.
And he made us sound so smart and cool
I
and
know.
on top
Dan,
of shit. So
make us sound like 5% worse this time. Just
Yeah.
leave in a couple things.
Yeah, a couple awkward pauses adds charm, adds character.
Yeah, especially
wrong
if
with
it's
that.
if it's right after I said something hilarious to give the audience time to laugh. Ahem. Hello and welcome to Once More with Feeling, a podcast about great original films and their often not so great remakes. I'm Gus Schiff. I am a screenwriter, an improviser. What else do I say?
What
Other
are my jobs?
things?
What do I do?
Well, I don't
Who am
know,
I?
dude. Job applicant to various places. I played flag football in middle school.
And I'm Mariana. I'm a YouTube film critic and PhD student who is currently taking a short hiatus between dissertation chapters.
Yeah. Who is 1/5 of the way to being a doctor? is how it was
1/5 of the
described.
way. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Today we watched Disney's 1961 movie, The Absent-Minded Professor, and Disney's 1997 movie, Flubber.
We did.
Which I think is...
We left this off the list at first. I texted you in a panic.
Did we?
Yeah.
Was it this one?
Uh-huh.
That's embarrassing. This is our first, I believe, differently named remake. Gasp. Oh my gosh. Does it count? Yeah, it does. Should I just start?
I guess, with all that research
All
you
right.
didn't do.
Yeah, all the research I did do, and you're gonna hear it. I totally forgot. I don't want to
Gus
share
didn't do
too
his
much.
homework.
I don't want to share too much because it's very much an in progress situation. But I just got off a call, my first director call for a movie that I wrote.
Gus was too excited to sell out.
I legitimately, my whole week has been preparing for like these two director calls, and I watched the movies and I was like, I did my job. I totally forgot to do the other half of my job, which is reminding people what 1961 was like.
What was 1961 like, Gus?
Well, listen, we've already covered 1961 in our 101 Dalmatians video, which I think is both of our animated favorite movies, or it's in both the top three. Go watch 101 Dalmatians.
It's so good.
It's jazz. It's jazz as a movie. It's amazing. But let me give you a little review / a little more information, because live action just makes me think of different things than animation does. So 1961, this is the year that the U.S., we severed ties with Cuba, and then like 3 months later had the Bay of Pigs fiasco. This is the year that John Fitzgerald Kennedy, our first Catholic president, was sworn in.
Our hottest president.
Our hottest president, our first of two Catholics, and fun fact, the reason that my grandparents got together.
Aw.
Yeah.
What's that mean?
How?
Yeah.
So my grandmother's first husband was his second in command on the boat that he commanded in the Pacific, PT 109. And they stayed friends after the war. And then my grandfather was the son of Kennedy's mentor in the House of Representatives.
Huh.
So that was my great grandfather. And so my grandmother's first husband unfortunately died in an accident. And so like one day in the late 40s, she was in DC like getting lunch with him, and she met him like at my great grandfather's office while my grandfather was like visiting his dad. And Johnny said, the family lore is that he said, Kate, that's my grandma, I'm taking you to lunch, but this guy's going to take you to dinner.
Oh.
And then they...
Smooth.
So supposedly my grandfather was hardcore wingman by one of the most famous presidents in U.S. history. The Peace Corps was established to counter I mean, like both as like a nice mission, but also to counter, Soviet
always to
charity.
counter Soviet propaganda,
Soviet
and
charity.
Soviet influence.
Well,
yeah.
in other countries. Civil rights movement continues. There's a National Guard call-in in Alabama, race riots, people die, the casual.
Mm-hmm.
American history. The federal government under JFK banned segregation at all federally run public facilities, all interstate public facilities. The USSR detonates the Tsar bomb, which is the biggest man-made explosion ever. And this is the year where the first Americans land in the country of Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, the December of 1961 is the first recorded American casualty of the Vietnam War. Couple movies that you might recognize, which came out in 1961. West Side Story.
Gus, I know that movie.
A classic.
It's a classic.
It's a classic. It's Sondheim, I'm pretty sure. It's basically Romeo and Juliet, but in New York. Mm-hmm. And one gang is Italian and one gang is Puerto Rican.
Mm-hmm.
The Parent Trap, which I think is our next episode.
I'm so excited for The Parent Trap. I've already watched it.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Are you going to watch them again
in
the next couple weeks?
I watched Flubber twice.
That's adorable.
See how much time I have when I'm not working on dissertation stuff? I cannot wait to
when
be
you're
done
on
with this
a
shit.
hiatus.
Yeah.
I found that like with a lot of people in my life, like I operate in mirrors. Like I'm having a really good week this week, and my wonderful girlfriend is having a really bad week. And like I'm suddenly really busy, and you're suddenly really free.
Yeah.
And it's like there's always a counter. Crazy. 101 Dalmatians came out in 1961. Amazing movie. Go watch it. The film Judgment at Nuremberg came out. It won a bunch of Oscars. I figured it was worth mentioning.
I've never seen that. I don't know. I must have heard of it. This sounds like, my kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's
really, I think it was like Stanley Kramer. Hold on. Judge. I didn't research this one because this is not the movie that we're covering. Although you could argue that Nuremberg, which came out like last year, is a remake of Judgment at Nuremberg.
It is not a good movie, Nuremberg.
Watch it.
Unfortunately.
Directed by Stanley Kramer. Screenplay. Spencer Tracy's in it. Burt Lancaster. Marlene Dietrich. Judy Garland. William Shatner. Montgomery Clift.
Is it just about is Nuremberg just a remake of this? Genuinely?
It's not. They're both films about like similar things, but this movie is like about convincing people that the Nazis did it on purpose.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
The new Nuremberg, it does this weird thing where it like the people at Nuremberg, it wasn't entirely clear, it wasn't common knowledge yet what the Nazis did in the concentration camps, and so that's like revealed during the trial, and it's like a huge surprise to everybody there, but it frames it as if it's supposed to be a surprise to the audience also, as if you're supposed to be like heartbroken that fucking Goring was this like genocidal maniac, and it doesn't work. I don't like it.
Yikes.
Yeah.
All right, and then Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Good movie.
A good movie, and then also. You know what came out in 1961? The Absent-Minded Professor. So this is a movie about Professor Dr. Ned Brainerd, who forgot the college that he works at, who is a professor of chemistry.
It's like Medfield or something.
Yeah, Medfield. Professor of chemistry at Medfield College. He's very absent-minded. He forgets things all the time. Case in point, the day that we meet him is he's supposed to be married to the love of his life, Betsy Carlisle. It's the third time that they're supposed to get married. And he's like, I'm going to make it this time. His housekeeper's like, you have to be there on time. And he's like, I will. And then right before he goes out the door, he's like, wait a second, this thing. And he does chemistry stuff. He says nonsense science words. And then he accidentally blows up his lab and he gets knocked unconscious. And when he wakes up, he's created this like ooze that violates all known laws of physics and bounces higher, like generates energy out of nothing. Basically, it's some sort of rubbery substance that when you drop it, it bounces higher than where you dropped it from. science-minded listeners will recognize that violates one of the laws of Newtonian laws of physics. I don't remember which one. No, one of the laws of thermodynamics. I don't know. Violates something. He's shocked by it. He goes like, what will we call this? It flies and it's like rubber. I've got it. Flubber, flubber, flubber. And he says flubber a bunch. Meanwhile, it's your classic like old school college movie. There's the like shitty banker who's trying to like shut down the college or something.
Mm-hmm.
There's the like rival professor who is a humanities professor trying to woo.
Quotes Shakespeare a lot.
Yeah, trying to steal Betsy away from Ned. Betsy, like after the third time, she's like, "I never want to talk to you again." And he's like,
and rightly
no,
so.
Yeah,
because holy shit.
Listen, 2 times is understandable, but if you miss your wedding 3 times, get out of here. There's some hijinks with the flubber. Ned creates a flying Model T, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And
the effects are so charming, and he has that like
really
the little
cute.
dog. He has a fuzzy little dog.
Oh,
it's the 60s, and everybody has a fuzzy little dog.
Yeah,
and he takes him flying in his flying car. Oh my god.
I
it's
wrote
so
outstanding use of dog in my
It
notes.
is an outstanding use of dog.
Really works.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie, I think, the dog's name. There's one big set piece. No, there's like 2 big set pieces in the movie, I think. There's the basketball scene where Medfield is getting slaughtered by the rival professor's school, Rutland, I think?
Mm-hmm.
Rutland? Let's just say Rutland. Dan, just pretend I know the name of it. By Rutland...
Dan, keep that in. Dan, keep all this in.
Dan, don't keep this in. Cut it. Cut it, Dan.
Dan, if you cut this, you're fired.
Why are you bullying me? It's just ableism. Yeah, Rutland. The guy, the villain of the kid villain of the movie, not really a villain, but the kid of the movie, played by Tommy, whatever his last name is, from The Shaggy Dog.
Mm-hmm. Whose
Tommy
name
Kirk.
is?
Tommy Kirk.
No, the character.
Biff. Biff Hawk.
Incredible 60s name.
I know. But he's like, without me on the team, they're going to get slaughtered. And then we see the basketball game, and it's like all the Rutland players are a solid foot taller than all of the midfield players.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
I don't think Biff is going to even their odds very much.
I don't think they stood a chance regardless. So Ned steals all the players' like backup shoes and then puts Flubber on the heel of all of them. And so in the second half of the game, they're just bouncing all over the place and dunking, and they end up winning. It's a fun scene. It's crazy. The reactions on the actors' faces are like incredible. It's so much fun. And then there's like he calls the government.
Yeah.
And he calls the White House.
This is a funny scene where he calls the White House and he's like, "I've got this crazy new substance. You have to find applications for this. I could see it in defense. I could see it." He mentions agriculture, and the secretary's like, and sends him immediately to the Secretary of Agriculture, who sends him immediately to defense, who sends him somewhere else. And
then defense, like the Secretary of Defense is like, "That's crap," and all the Joint Chiefs, like all 3 of the Joint Chiefs at the time, are like, "Military applications," and they all book a flight to this like Midwestern town, which leads to the next scene where they're at a dance and Ned is there and he uses Flubber on his shoes to like be an awesome dancer and win back,
which doesn't make
Betsy.
any sense.
Well,
why would putting Flubber on? Why would being bouncy make you a better dancer?
He can do the splits now, and then while he's in there being a great dancer, the evil banker, who's the dad of Biff Hawk, like replaces the flying Model T with an old Model T, with like a different Model T. And so then the military people show up at the dance, and Ned's like, "Let me show you this flying car technology." And instead of like the Flubber engine, there's like a running squirrel in a wheel. And, they're all embarrassed. So, gosh, what happens next? There's a whole thing where Betsy and Ned like trick Alonzo into bouncing on the shoes and he can't stop and he keeps bouncing in the air.
And they get him to like jump out the window to prove that the flubber works, and then as he's bouncing he's like, make it stop, and they're like, no, tell us where the Model T is first. So he tells them it's in the warehouse, and they just leave him bouncing.
They leave to the warehouse. There's like a there's like a really weird fight scene where Ned keeps bouncing over the goons as they try to tackle him, and they slam into the door. And then on like the third time, they bust through the door and they fly the car out and everything's fine. The football team like tackles Alonzo Hawk, the banker, so he doesn't die. And then there's this like really long sequence that I have to imagine was paid for by the city of Washington, D.C., where Betsy and Ned fly to Washington, D.C., and they go, wow, what an incredible town Washington, D.C. is. Look, it's the Lincoln Memorial. And is that the Air and Space Museum? The Washington Monument.
Our nation's great capital.
Meanwhile, like, the military is organizing because there's an unidentified flying object in the no-fly zone. And they go, look at all those well-organized men down there. What a great country we're in. And then some jets almost kill them. And then the general, like the Joint Chiefs from way earlier, they finally hear about this like flying Model T. And they go, wait, don't shoot it down. And then they like buy the rights to it or something. And they go and they meet the president. And that's the end of the movie. Oh, and then they get married. Finally.
They do get married. He finally shows up to his own wedding.
There's a moment at the end that I just specifically wrote down in my notes where they while they're still flying so that they don't get hit by the missiles that they're being targeted with, they hide behind the Capitol building.
Yes.
And like one of the military guys.
Yes, I was going to bring this up too.
One of the military guys goes, General or Colonel, we can't, if we shoot now, we'll hit the Capitol building.
Congress is in session. We'll lose all the senators and Congress people.
And the colonel's like, sacrifices must be made or something like that. And that was just a really funny line.
You're missing the best part. And
what
then
is it?
The guy says, a new facade was just put up on the Capitol building.
That's right.
And the colonel's like,
oh my God.
And calls off the missiles.
Yeah, so that's the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty wild movie. This is
it's cute. It's very cute. I liked it very much.
It's really cute. We talked a little bit last year time how like the success of the Shaggy Dog started a run of these like cheaply produced family comedies with fantastical elements. This is one of those movies. I think it might be the first one that they did, or at least the first one that hit a similar level of success. In the Variety review, they specifically mentioned Shaggy Dog. Like the critics broadly really like this movie. The whole Variety review, it's very short. They said, in the Shaggy Dog tradition, another box office whopper for Disney. Enjoyable as an absurd, uncomplicated comedy fantasy, but discernible filmgoers may discover deeper, more significant humorous nuances.
Like what?
I don't know. You had to be there.
I guess.
Yeah, I couldn't find like the initial run specifically, but the lifetime box office, from what I could gather, was like $25 million against a budget of like around $2 million.
Nice.
So really good on that. Podcast favorite Bosley Crowther of the New York Times called it remarkably bouncy entertainment. He really liked it.
Uncomplicated is a good adjective.
Yeah, and then it was nominated for 3 Oscars. It was nominated for art direction and cinematography, both in the black and white category, and special effects. And I think it actually won special effects, but I forgot to check that because I did not do enough research.
Yeah, I wonder how they did. I mean, whatever. I'm not a special effects wonk, and I'm sure the strategies were pretty simple. But like the flying car stuff looks really good.
Yeah. It did not win special effects.
Okay.
It was one of 2 films nominated, and the other one won.
What was it?
The Guns of Navarone.
Or
Navarone, with a lot of famous people in it. That looks like a fun movie. Anyway, one of the things I noticed just with my little history brain is like the version of basketball they were playing, like there was one-handed dribbling, but they didn't do it a lot because I think this was like, so originally basketball, here's a little fun fact for you. Originally, like if you had the ball, you weren't supposed to be able to move except for like a step and a pivot, kind of like ultimate frisbee. But
so you can take any steps at all.
Yeah, you could take you could take steps to stop and then you could like pivot around, right? And then the players realized, well, you could pass yourself off the ground. And so they would dribble with two hands. And you actually see a moment where they do where one of the players does a two-handed dribble, which is obviously not allowed anymore. That's double dribbling in modern basketball. And then they were like, well, you can't do that. That defeats the spirit. So here's the new rule. You can't bounce the ball to yourself with two hands. And like thinking no one's ever going to be able to dribble the ball with one hand. So we finally got it. And then players started dribbling with one hand. And then they got really good at that. And now basketball. So I don't know the history of basketball. And I definitely should have looked this up. From what I could tell from watching the basketball in this game, this is like relatively early from when they introduced the dribbling rule. Because the whole first shot, I think there's just the two-handed dribble, and otherwise it's just passing.
I did spot the two-handed dribble, and I thought, wow, that looks super lame. Why are they doing that?
Yeah. So that's fun.
Fun facts with Gus Schiff.
Fact. What else do we talk about?
Well, I don't know. What else is there to say about this movie that we didn't say about the Shaggy dog? You know, because it's like it's also very science pilled.
Yeah,
you know?
That's something I'm really interested to compare one aspect specifically with like Flubber, which is both movies have this moment of like both Ned Brainards figuring out how to make a thing fly. Yeah. And in The Absent-Minded Professor, what's his name? Fred McMillan, I think. Yeah, Fred McMurray plays Ned. He's like, this is the isotope 239. And when you open, and he's so excited and he's so happy and he's handling it with like leather gloves and nothing else and like goggles and nothing else. And then when Robin Williams is doing it, it's the same lines, but he's in like a full radiation suit. Yeah. There's significant fear in his voice.
I think it's just a stylistic decision. I think it heightens the stakes a little bit, and also radiation suits look silly.
Yeah, but I also think it's indicative of like how people saw nuclear power in 1961 and how they saw it in 1997, post 3 Mile Island.
Yeah, definitely. We're like barely we're barely a generation removed from fucking painting radium on your teeth, you know?
And I just think like that's a really fun example of what I like, one of my favorite ways to look at history through mass media, of like how they depict. It's one of the reasons I wanted to do this kind of podcast in the first place is how they depict the same thing so differently. Only like 36 years apart, 38 years apart. Yeah,
when we start talking about Flubber, I think this is a really, really great movie to do that with. You know, because Flubber is almost exactly the same movie, but very strange, very different.
It's very weird.
Yeah, has very, very different ideas about what science is. So I want to start talking about it soon, but we've only been talking for 26 minutes, and that seems like not enough time to talk about The Absent-Minded Professor.
Okay, let me go through a couple more things. Okay. This is the first Disney movie to get a sequel called The Son of Flubber. I think it came out like 2 years later in 1963. Same cast, same characters, very similar plot, because that's how they did sequels back then. This movie, I don't know if you noticed this, it had a cold open.
Did it?
Yeah.
What? In what way?
Well, in that there was plot and story before the credits happened. Which is not,
I guess there was.
Normal.
No, it's not normal.
For any movie at this time.
Right.
Which I thought was
how modern
cool.
of them.
Yeah. Oh, when they kept missing the wedding, I wrote down, this is why cohabitation is so important.
Is that why? So you don't forget your own wedding?
Yes, you don't forget your wedding. I think like that's another thing very interesting to look at. Like in the 60s, I'm sure like some unmarried people live together, especially in like more urban places.
But not many. It's still very taboo. I'm in the middle of a Mad Men rewatch right now, and there's an episode. Have you seen Mad Men?
I've seen part of it. I've seen the first couple until they went and they formed their own thing.
Oh, okay. So you made it a few seasons in.
I can't care anymore about these characters.
You should watch it. You're a screenwriter. It's a good screenwriting show.
Yeah.
There's a whole episode where Peggy like takes her mom out to dinner. She and her boyfriend take Peggy's mom out to dinner expressly so that they can like soften the blow of them deciding to live together, because her mom is like super Catholic and, you know, you'll be living in sin or whatever. Yeah, it was a weird thing to do.
Yeah.
It was sort of like easy or whatever. And I think like the sexual politics of Flubber compared to the absent-minded professor are super interesting to think about as well. Weird topic to be talking about in reference to these movies, I feel. Like Flubber is probably the most like kiddish movie that I think we've seen
more
so
kiddish
far.
Than Pinocchio?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Pinocchio's scary. Flubber is also scary, but for different reasons.
The Medfield College is presented as being like one of those smaller college town liberal arts schools, like a Kenyon, like a Williams, you know, like a really good smaller school.
In the new one, it feels even smaller than that. It's really weird vibes surrounding this institution of higher learning in Flubber.
But the way the main villain is introduced, Alonzo P. Hawk, the like lone banker guy, he talks like he has this line when he's riding in the car with Biff, his son. And the whole thing is that like Ned, the main character, flunked Biff because he didn't go to class. And Biff is supposed to have an arrangement with the school where he gets A's so he can play in sports. And the dad is like defaulting on a gift or he's calling in a loan or something that will make the school shut down. And Biff is like, Dad, why you gotta shut down my school? And the villain, this is way too much context. And the villain is like, this is the era of super Biff, my son, supermarkets, super colleges, super everything, like something to that effect. And I thought that was really fascinating, especially in Shaggy Dog. The villains are such incredibly stereotypical Soviet spies,
right?
To then 2 years later have and it's a family Disney movie, right? These are incredibly broad, and they're written to be super broad, and they're acted to be super broad.
They're amazing time capsules. Like a whole lot of these. This is why I am super into, you know, pop culture movies and like mass appeal type stuff. Yeah, and
to have the villain now be the capitalist who's buying up small towns and turning them into Walmarts.
And to have the, you know, it's like, it's not that the US government is necessarily beneficent here, you know, but they are
godlike a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. They're kind of everywhere, and
there's a deification almost with like they'll solve all our problems, and we only need to properly appease them.
Yeah, but also they're kind of comical, also. You know that like
they're friendly.
They're very friendly, but also a little bit not incompetent, but like. Nobody seems that invested in their job, you know? They're
when they're dangerous, they're not that dangerous.
Yeah.
You know, they're not dangerous to good American citizens who are just trying to do right by their girl.
Yeah.
There's a couple moments where Ned sort of attacks people he doesn't like with his car by bouncing on the hood of their car while they're driving. This happens twice. Once to Shelby, the humanities professor from Rutfield, and once to the Hawk family. And both times it ends up with them crashing directly into a cop car. And I think the thing I wrote down was, are those the same cops as they were in Shaggy Dog? I couldn't tell. Actually, let me check that right this second.
This is a pretty good idea for a sitcom. Yes,
they are.
Like a sort of parallel universe where everything is just sort of stuck in the 50s and 60s, and it's just like following these cops who have to deal with everybody's like garage inventions, you know?
Yeah. That would be fun. So it is actually exactly the same cops. It's the same act. Forrest Lewis played Officer Kelly in both movies. And then what's the other officer's name? Officer Hanson. 1959. Yep. And it's the same name. It's Officer Hampson. James Westerfield played Officer Hanson.
Oh, that's funny.
In both The Shaggy Dog and so you heard it here first. The Shaggy Dog and the Absent-Minded Professor. I mean, not only in the same universe, in the same town.
This is how you mine IP, you know? Yeah. Like
the Shaggy Dog extended universe.
Yeah, where they're the main characters. Just take my idea, what I just said, and just make a whole series of. Oh my god, that'd be adorable.
We'll take 5% of merch sales, and you don't have to give us anything else.
I'd be so okay with that. Retire tomorrow.
So it's interesting for two reasons, which is number one, character crossover, and number two, you'll recall when these two vehicles smash into each other, they hit and then they both go up because at the time car chassis were still made of steel, so the energy like did not crumple into the aluminum chassis.
Yeah, so you fucking die.
Yeah, so you fucking die if it's not a charming little kids movie. But I think it's really fun to look at like that as a car accident and be like, that is the family friendly version of what car accidents look like at the time, where like the car, like the headlight fell out. There's steam coming out of the radiator, but the body is untouched. And it's so like, it's one thing to know about it conceptually, and it's another version to see a stunt version of it, but still like a simulated version of the thing. Just like
I saw a sort of clickbaity Instagram reel the other day comparing a sledgehammer from like 1899 to a sledgehammer that they bought at Home Depot that day. They were like putting them both through hydraulic presses and seeing which one stood up. And obviously the one that was made out of purest fucking steel, you know, from 1899 broke the hydraulic press. And, you know, it was a whole thing of like, you know, they made stuff to last and whatever, which is true. But what a terrible example, you know? Yeah. Like sometimes...
Because also the old sledgehammer would fuck your arms
up. Exactly. Sometimes, as opposed to sometimes it's better to make things a little less durable.
Plastic
is a great example.
There was a really interesting thing I read, I guess, about this idea of planned obsolescence, where it's like, number one, absolutely happening. And
of course.
Unacceptable.
It should be illegal. I don't know how. I don't know how you make that. I don't know how you legislate that kind of law, but it has to be done.
You, BCG.
It has to be done now. It's not good.
You know what? Can I tell you, you know, so I think McKinsey also came out of U Chicago. So this is two disastrous financial and economic ideas that came out of my alma mater.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Fuck the Chicago school.
I don't know if this will make it in, but I was talking with a new friend who went to Northwestern, and you know, there's a pleasant little rivalry between Northwestern and U Chicago. And I was like, you know, oh, U Chicago's better. She's like, what are you talking about? Like, Northwestern kids get jobs. U Chicago kids study, you know, or they go on to study. And I was like, U Chicago kids like set out the foundation of modern economics in a way that ruins the country. Northwestern kids get jobs. So what's worse? Answer in the comments. We're gonna have 1 million listeners one day. What were we talking about?
What were we talking about? Oh, well, we were talking about planned obsolescence and how sometimes it's better when things are worse.
So I read this thing where it's like washing machines break more often, but part of that is like there's an engineering thing of like failure points in complex machines, especially ones with motors, where like if something's gonna fail, you want it to fail so it doesn't destroy the rest of the machine, or so it doesn't like blow up the house. So like old washing machines, because all of the parts were so durable, like yes, it would last a long time, but when it broke, like it would fucking break. Like
That makes sense.
shrapnel.
Well, I guess that
Like,
that would make sense if there were like washing machine parts stores. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
and they're like, there are specialty stores like that. And I'm sure there's
Yeah.
a washing machine parts store, but it's like the attitude, like planned obsolescence is so ingrained in how we make our stuff, like all our
Yeah.
manufacturing, that I mean, our washing machine just broke. I'm not going to fix that part. I'm going to get another washing machine.
right.
You know, like, I don't know where you would even, I guess I could find,
There are
the
people who
company or
fix-
whatever.
Who fix washing machines?
Yeah.
They
but
exist.
I know, but like, part of the other part of this is that everything is so cheap that like, I mean, I'm serious. This is a problem in how we structure our economy. When you make
Yeah.
all your luxuries cheap, it's a huge like undertaking to try and fix your TV or whatever, when you can just go
Yeah.
get another one for less
For
than
the
it would
same-
take to hire a repairman. You know?
Yeah. High five for inflation. Fixing
Woohoo!
all
Yeah,
of our problems.
3.8. Let's go.
Yeah.
This is going to actually I mean, I truly don't think that at this point anything will drive the United States of America into actual, like, I don't know, what's the word? Into thrift. into the like properly thrifty aesthetic that a republic I think should adopt.
Mhm.
Then 3.8 inflation and an oil war and food shortages and shit. Yippee!
Yeah, USA. Yeah, I did in my notes. I was like, they're so I wrote funded by the Department of Defense because they were so like weirdly laudatory of the government.
I wonder if they got any. I imagine they
It's
must have
possible.
had some kind of.
I mean, Disney was still alive in 1961, and all the studios were like taken over, or at least partially taken over by the DoD
Mm-hmm.
during World War II. So I'm sure they still had contacts. It's possible, and if not possible, very interesting to see what military appreciation looked like in a family film.
It is, yeah. Well, when I don't know, you might know the answer to this question. When did it start being the case that, like, in order to, because like most movies, when you need a tank or something, like, you can't just like go get one. You need to.
Right.
It's a lot more efficient to go through the government,
Mhm.
and they will approve of your use of this tank depending on, what the contents of the movie is. This is why Apocalypse Now is so hard to make.
Right. I think it's that they will supply the equipment and ways to run it for free if they approve of the script. I don't know when that started. I imagine the whole time.
That'd be an interesting thing to have looked up. If
Any wannabe academics out there, write a thesis on military involvement in American media production.
It's super interesting. It's an ascendant field right now. One of the few, in American
Is it
academia. Kinda, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Military studies and military history. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like in a lot of ways, in a lot of like really weird, uncomfortable ways that speak ill of pretty much every other dynamic in our society. It's like we have been coasting for so long, for like 20 or 30 years off our academic presuppositions, and now that so many of those are failing, like we're actually having to go and do the legwork and like figure out, return to our primary sources and see what they actually say and sort of reconstruct history as it was, instead of just sort of receiving all the biased information.
Presupposition, noun, an assumption made in advance. For anybody like me who is not currently getting a doctoral degree.
I feel like you, Gus Schiff, could have sat down and puzzled out what presupposition means.
Yeah, I figured it out in the context of the statement, but I also thought it'd be a funny bit. So if anybody laughed, let us know.
Teach the audience a word.
Yeah. Word of the day.
Do you want to talk about
now?
Flubber?
It's been longer than 26 minutes.
It has. It's been 45 minutes, so we can talk about Flubber.
Dan, tell us what time stamp that is at, and we will ADR the actual time.
I was gonna say, Dan, cut out that I just said our our timestamp so that people can't look at this and realize the disparity of how much you have to cut out.
Dan, if you cut this out, you're fired.
No.
Dan, you're not gonna be fired. You did a great job. I'm sorry for making that joke. I don't stand by it at all. What's your favorite hamburger?
Do you want me?
No, Dan.
How's he gonna tell you?
I don't know. He'll figure it out. He's a
Okay.
smart guy.
All right. Do you want to do the patrons?
Oh God. Okay. We got like 3 more since yesterday, so it's gonna be a straight like 100, I think.
That's so exciting.
Unless, fingers crossed, somebody canceled.
We might have to like stop saying the patron names.
This might have to be like a new tier at some point, maybe for season 2.
Maybe. It's rough. I hate to.
Oh shit! It's 101.
Oh my god. I hate to like take away perks. You know.
I know.
It seems like bad business practices.
I know. This episode is sponsored by our incredible patrons, who are all wonderful, cool people, and also really hot and good at life. Unless they don't want to be hot, in which case, or they're minors, in which case they're not hot. They're just nice, and I like them. Such patrons as Kyle Richardson, Chariot Rider, Moritz Musings, Henri, Nikan Narani, Paf, Thomas Harvell, Tanner I Hardly Know Her, Sophie, Elizabethan, Naren Hazaring Singh. Let me just apologize now if I get any of these wrong. Jadon M. Gooden Samuel, Bruce, Wesley Macy, Josh Barnett, Brittany, Geron Taloda, Peter Taylor, Mercy Moore, Maddie Millsap, Burning Hand Blacksmithing, Kiyoshi the Oki, Nukewarm, Amy Mother of Dragons, Breaker of Chains, Angus Mack, Jazz Dumpster, Reja Vojdani, Repented 1138, John Bailey, Hans, Eleanor Magnuson, Taylor Nebecker, the real actual Babadook, Ian McBay, Emily Phillips, Mago, Membrillo, Mary Johnson, Sam, Mary Lucille, Comrade Katie, Bisexual Cryptids Anonymous, LJG, Andy Leach, Violet Camburgers, Andy Raunak Sethi, Navarro Pinsker, Harv, Adam Vinkenbach. That's less than half. Fake Movie, that's half. Geek, because there's 101, so 50 and a half, whatever. Fake Movie Geek, Woody Sims, Marcos Esparza, Madeline Moss, Jorge Valdez, Birdie, Alex, Miguel Vela Garnett, Silly Me, Hypervisceration, Aurora Rogers, Patrick Powers, David Monkman, Just Chip, Isaiah Evans, Okay Biddy, now I'm in the rhythm. Dr. Foes, Orestes, Andrew Osborne, Sheila Kelly, that's my mother. Spooky Teeths, William Bentley, Janelle Rose, A Long Way Home, Ryder, Seamus Bertag, Jeremy, Mark Wampler, nailed it. C-Tone, Velen Inspector, Sociostash, Fading into Obscurity, The Antithesis, Wells Harrell, Forrest Cochran, Ted the Dead, Ryan Faber, Andrew Ray, Samwa, Gun Parade, Colleen Burns, Chimerathon, Charlotte Detweiler, James Trendle, Sky Kalane, Christine H., Chloe, Dana Lloyd, Donnie, Aaron Summers, and Thomas McFarland. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our wonderful paying patrons.
And if you would like to become a patron,
you can go to patreon.com/something. Once more with feeling, I think.
It's gotta be. That is the name of the podcast.
Yeah, that's probably, it's also linked in the show notes. If you don't want to pay, but you do want to support, just like do a bunch of comments. Bother your friends about it.
Set
Post
up a
it on
bunch of
all-
sock puppet accounts.
Yeah, go to Claude.ai and figure out how to make a bot that just posts our shit everywhere.
Don't do
for
that. If you're
no
gonna make sock
reason.
puppet accounts, do it by the sweat of your own brow. Don't
Go
vibe code
to
your way into
go
that
to
shit.
go to grok.ai.
Grift with
use-
honor.
Use the best AI platform for being a shithead. Grok.ai. That is legally a joke, I think. Anyway, tell me
talk
about
about
Flubber. Let's talk about Flubber.
Yeah. It's the same movie, so I don't feel like we have to go through the whole synopsis, but there are two really key differences. Plot is almost exactly the same, but instead of a nice old lady housekeeper and a super cute doggy, the professor's sidekick here is basically an Alexa robot named Weibo.
Yeah.
And Weibo expresses herself through through Disney gifts, through these
and won the Simpsons clip.
Yeah.
Which at the time was not owned by Disney.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but they certainly relied on the things that they own and don't want anybody else to use. So so Weibo is apparently in love with the professor and has one of the things that Weibo does is she like projects like a pretty lady to seduce him with, I guess.
Yeah, that was weird.
It's really weird. I don't like it. Weibo is the reason he misses his wedding in the beginning because she's sabotaging his ability to remember it, which is also different. She gets destroyed at the end of the movie when some like the goons show up to steal the flubber, and she leaves like a "if you're seeing this message, I'm dead" kind of video for the professor. Mm-hmm. And in this video, she tells him that she's uploaded her personality to the cloud. Yeah. Basically, and also added some of the professor's DNA or something. It's really unclear what it is exactly about him that she's added to her own personality.
Yeah, she was like, I think the line was like, "I've uploaded a copy of my code to this hard drive. I've taken out some of my flaws and I've added some of yours."
It doesn't.
So I think it's like personality traits, but as code.
I guess, but I mean, really, the only result. Apparently, we see a little bit of the new robot, and all she does is bitch. So I don't know. It's not
because she's a teenage girl.
I guess, but like
because she's supposed to be the child of the robot and the professor.
Fucking weird.
It's very uncomfortable.
I don't like it. So yeah, in the end, he makes this replacement servant robot, which is also his own daughter. and then he flies away to Hawaii with his new wife, Sarah. The other difference between Flubber and the absent-minded professor is that the Flubber is kind of conscious. And that's super weird too, because it doesn't figure into the story at all.
Yeah.
It's just like the Flubber really only seems interested in using its consciousness to perform synchronized dance reviews.
Yeah, I had a theory that like that element wasn't added until later.
I kind of agree. I mean, it seems like at least the vibe that I get from this movie is that most of the effects work was done way after the fact, like they all just kind of pantomime the presence of the Flubber. There's no like, I don't think they did any kind of like, even like, a green puppet to replace it or whatever. It's just Robin Williams kind of miming. In truth, I think that all that CG Flubber stuff, the Flubber being cute and the Flubber doing the dance sequence, it's just there to keep the kids paying attention, But it's also, I don't know, it dates the movie in a couple of interesting ways that I don't think are like inappropriate to read into the psyche of America in 1997 using. But first, let me tell you about 1997 because I actually did my homework because I had time this week. Yeah.
See, opposite.
Yeah,
opposite.
I know.
I forgot my homework. You did it. Incredible.
So I like did a truly Gus style overview of 1997, which I think we also talked about in for 101 Dalmatians. Oh, that's interesting. That the originals came out in the same year and the remakes came out in the same year?
Original
or was it 1996?
Remake was 1996.
Okay.
Which was 2 years after the Jungle
Book. Okay. Well, no, 1997 was a very different year. A lot of stuff happened this year. It was a rough time. Oh my God. Like the late 90s were, I mean, it's super weird because like, I think we have this just sort of passive acceptance of the idea that the 90s were like, kind of the last golden age. Of the United States.
I was shaking my head.
Yeah. So 1997 in February is the North Hollywood shootout. A couple bank robbers get in a shootout with LAPD, one of the biggest in American history. They fire a couple thousand rounds.
I have never heard of this.
You've never heard of the North Hollywood shootout?
I went to private school.
That's nuts. It was really important for Lachlan's family because his dad was a LAPD detective.
Yeah.
And like entered the force around this time. But the problem with the LAPD shootout is that these bank robbers were wearing bulletproof vests. And so none of the rounds, they ended up, I think they ended up having to like steal a couple of AR-15s from a local gun store so they could properly fight these guys. And this is why LAPD gets to have semi-automatic rifles. So that's pretty eventful.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Hold on, I need to read this entire Wikipedia article.
It's long.
Okay, let's pause for like 40 minutes.
I'm really surprised you
we're
haven't heard of
back.
this.
We're back. The only thing I've heard of that happened sort of in North Hollywood is the Northridge earthquake. Because that's why I'm alive.
Right, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you're a panic baby. The next month, in March, the Hale-Bopp comet flies on by, as it does sometimes. And seeing this as a sign of intergalactic transcendence, the Heaven's Gate cult all puts on identical Nikes and tracksuits and kills themselves.
Nice.
Yeah.
UFOs. UFOs.
Tony Blair becomes prime minister. The American government acknowledges the secret war in Laos in the 50s, our first sort of foray into trying regime change in the South Pacific, and also apologizes for the Tuskegee syphilis experiment, where we infected a bunch of black men on purpose with syphilis, didn't tell them, and didn't treat them.
Yeah. And then like didn't learn that much.
No.
Right?
It was straight up like Mengele Nazi shit. You know what I mean? Where it's like, let's just do this performatively cruel thing that we would never be able to do with actual ethics just to say we could, basically. It's just like kind of the same ethos we're in today. Yeah, not good.
I'm so excited for like whatever the version of us is in like 40 years. That's like, and then in 2026, they did this fucking insane thing where they just like stole all art and fed it to a machine and said, isn't that cool? And then people were like, yeah. That's my impression of future podcasters talking about large language models.
A lot of massacres in Algeria in 1997 because the Algerian civil war is going on right now. So in the Wikipedia page for the year 1997 that I looked up, it's like every month, sometimes twice a month, amongst all the other events of the year, another Algerian massacre. It happened like fucking, 15 times this year.
There's a really fantastic French movie set during the Algerian Civil War called Of Gods and Men. That sort of, it covers
I don't
these
know this
things.
movie. Yeah.
And it's very, very good.
Okay, I gotta watch that. Yeah, super fucked up. Bunch of people were dying all the fucking time. One of the last things that happens this year on December 30th is an Algerian massacre. Really rough. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone is published. Gianni Versace is shot outside his home.
In 1990s?
Yeah.
In 1997? Oh, I thought it was earlier for some reason.
No. Yeah, Gianni Versace is shot outside his home in Miami. Netflix is founded.
Boo.
But you thought that happened later too.
No, I didn't. Because I've been reading a lot of like, Netflix was founded in 1997 to do this thing.
I'm Gus. I know things. Princess Diana dies in a car crash. The Kyoto Protocol is adopted. Also in Japan, 700 kids go to the hospital after strobing in that one episode of Pokemon triggers a bunch of photosensitive epilepsy.
Outstanding.
A bunch of kids just go into epileptic attacks and get sent to the hospital. Woof. Titanic comes out, and so does Windows 98, and also Flubber.
Gorgeous.
So, I mean, I'm kind of like, I'm ultra interested in how science is being portrayed here in comparison to The Absent-Minded Professor,
Yeah.
Lots of slime involved in...
A lot of slime.
Yeah, in 90s science. Everything is slime. This is how science is sold to children in this
Shout
age.
out to Nickelodeon.
Yeah, sliming everybody. It always kind of surprised me that there's... I mean, I guess I understand that green is the natural slime color, I feel. But it feels like Nickelodeon slime should have been orange. What do I know?
think the natural slime color is gray.
You think?
I think so. Because, I remember, oobleck in elementary school, cornstarch and water, the first, non-Newtonian fluid that, you introduce kids to when they're in elementary school. That's gray. Because and that's what most slime is nowadays. And then you just dye it different colors if you want it to be, look different.
I guess maybe it's because I feel like atomic energy as understood in pop culture is also green, things glow and they glow green. And so that was just sort of lifted and pasted onto slime for whatever reason. Why is slime so important to 90s science?
I think it just looks cool.
I guess it must. I mean, it's also like, and this might be a stretch, but I don't think so. At some point in American history, probably after Reagan, because he fucked everything, the understanding of science and what science is for changes from science solves problems to science is cool. And it makes you cool, and you're cool if you do science. And slime is cool. It starts to become an individualist thing along with everything else, you know? So like, I mean, I think it's super interesting that in this version of the movie, the professor does not call the government ever. Instead,
right.
he calls a car
Ford.
Company.
Yeah.
And sells Flubber to them. In order to save the college.
Thanks, Reagan.
It's really weird.
Dan, that one you can keep in. That's okay.
And I think that like there are some other sort of like kind of troubling associations this movie gives the audience with science that I think absolutely kind of act as foreshadowing for our current oligopoly, you know, where it's like, I like the nice old lady housekeeper and I like the cute doggy.
Right.
They don't need to be turned into Weebo.
Yeah.
And
I did.
Mm-hmm.
I did like the robots outside of. I didn't like Weebo. But
Yeah.
I liked the like clunky.
I do too.
Robot thing.
I do too.
For listeners who have not seen this movie in a while, Robin Williams' house is filled with Wallace and Gromit-esque contraptions.
They're adorable.
That help like
they automate his
think
breakfast and stuff.
Yeah, the opening scene of the movie is like a bunch of robots making his breakfast.
Yeah.
Which is very cool.
He's
and
a tinkerer.
Yeah, and I think like I don't know if the robots were like I'm sure they were like controlled by props people, but it does look really cool. And
yeah, it looks really nice. It's got like a good texture, you know, the kind of like real light that you get when you have a real thing
when
in
it's
a real
practical.
place. Yeah.
Yeah, the smug look on your face. Incredible. This is why we do the podcast, so that I can see how smug you look.
But also, like, I think it's kind of there's a problem with this movie, which is that sexual politics have changed since 1961, and that, like, I don't know if you got this feeling, but there was something like this movie feels very personal in some certain ways, where it's like, oh man, somebody's like writing their own relationship troubles into this movie in a way that like isn't really present in 1961. I feel.
Elaborate.
Well, it's like in The Absent-Minded Professor, the fact that he has missed his own wedding 3 times is like it's a joke, you know? It's like a funny joke. And I think that's kind of only possible in a society where like kind of the reigning attitude is like, what? Wish I could forget my own wedding. Am I right?
Right.
You know?
Right.
Wives. Whoa. Gross. I want to work on important things like
take
science.
my wife, please.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And that we can't do that in 1997. And so what it has
because women are people.
Because women are people now. And so what it has to turn into is like,
yeah.
Oh, the professor has a real problem. This is a serious character flaw. And she's worried, rightly so. Yeah. And she's worried, rightly so, that he doesn't actually love her, because what the fuck, man? You like forgot your own wedding 3 times. And that results in this weird feeling that I got where it's like, is something wrong with him? He needs to go to the doctor maybe, because that doesn't come across in 1961, you know? And so that's kind of an issue. And so then the fact that he's like creating life in his garage lab and has this like the model of what AI is supposed to be in the minds of its proponents. And she's like in love with him, you know, like is his servant. And it's like, yeah, why would, it's the only thing making it at all obvious that he needs to get married is Robin Williams' very warm and very convincing performance, you know?
Yeah.
But like, it seems like, and especially when he makes the flubber and the flubber is conscious, like it seems like the intuitive choice, if the original movie didn't exist, is that like the flubber would be like super mischievous and fuck shit up, you know, and have a mind of its own. And that's the problem that he needs to solve, that like he needs to stop like trying to engineer life and live his own. But that's not the story at all. It's just the same story. And I think the vibes that come out of that are very odd. Very, very odd. I didn't like this movie very much.
It was a little weird. I really like Robin Williams.
He's great.
So I liked it.
I like Robin Williams, and I like him here. He, the entire cast really is really quite good.
Just how it all fits together is a little.
I wrote this down. Clancy Brown and Ted Levine, two of the greats in big grouchy henchman character actor niche, you know.
Yeah.
But they also feel a little miscast in a way that I think kind of speaks to the weirdness of this entire movie, because it's like
they're a little grumpier than they should be.
No, for me, it's that they're both the smart one
of the goons.
Yeah. And they need a dumb one, but they're both the smart one.
They didn't do the classic vaudeville thing.
They didn't.
They're both tall and skinny.
Yeah. That's a problem, you know, especially since like they're doing so much slapstick in this movie, and I don't like the slapstick either. There are so many times when I like cringed because it felt like I was certain I just watched somebody die, you know? Clancy Brown and Ted Levine do this whole like, there's this whole bit where the professor is like flubberizing these like golf balls and bowling balls and absentmindedly throwing them outside. Whoa. And they like, you know, get just like launched into the air and continually come down and hit the goons in the head. That kills you.
Yeah.
You're dead if a bowling ball falls from a mile in the air onto your skull. Holy shit.
But this is like a John Hughes movie.
It is a
like
John Hughes. Yeah, he wrote it. Uh-huh.
So that's pretty normal for his live action movies. Like in Home Alone, like those robbers are dead like 6 times over.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why do you think? Does Home Alone work for you? Do you have the same issue?
Home Alone does work for me, I think, because there are a lot of stunts in Home. I think what it is just that the stunts in Home Alone are so inventive and so goofy that like it kind of overrides your instinctive like, oh shit, I know how heavy a bowling ball is, you know?
Yeah. They're so cartoonish in Home Alone that it's like, of course cartoon logic applies to this.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But getting hit in the head with a golf ball is not cartoonish enough.
I don't. Yeah, getting hit in the head with a golf ball that's going like literally 200 miles an hour or whatever. You're done. You know, like it's just too basic to. It just I don't know. It makes my flight or fight kind of twinge in a way that I don't like. This is a weird movie.
You know what's interesting? Speaking of how similar this is to the original movie, the original writer is actually a credited writer on the remake.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, Bill Walsh.
Isn't that kind of I don't know about standard, but like if you're adapting something, don't you have to credit the
You'll be like based on a thing by this person, but Bill, the writer,
credited
the original
as a
Flubber,
writer. Yeah,
is credited as a writer.
I couldn't find any actual production information that wasn't just like fun facts about where they shot it, you know? San Jose State University or
Stanford.
Whatever. You know, we talked about the college in the original feeling very small. Now that we're in the 90s, and indeed, Hawk was right, and it is the age of the supers, and super universities are how we organize higher education.
Alonzo P.
Hawk, thank you. Like, yeah, I mean, kind of all of our resources have been sort of consolidated into these massive universities, and so it's super, super odd to see this supposedly tiny little college whose basketball team appears to function off like high school basketball logic. you know? Very weird. Whatever, I'll accept it, I guess. It's just like a kind of placelessness that works in 1961 that just doesn't in the late 90s for some reason.
Yeah. Interesting.
What else?
I don't know.
Oh, it got me kind of thinking about the Shaggy Dog with its whole relationship to science, because like, I don't know, it feels like a more desperate movie. Just like within the diegesis, you know, there's a good film school word. Like the presence.
Diegesis. Diegesis, noun, the relaying of information in a fictional work, such as a film or novel, through a narrative.
That's not a
the fictional world in which the events of a narrative occur.
Yeah.
Are you doing definition 2?
I'm doing definition 2. Yeah.
Okay.
Definition 1 is dumb.
As you were saying.
It feels to me like the presence of capital is just kind of a foregone conclusion in this. It kind of it in a very Reaganist fashion sort of replaces the ever presence of the US government here, you know? Like, I think it's interesting that the bad guy in The Shaggy Dog 2006 is the company and their whole obsession is with the money. There's money in this.
Right.
And the obsession in Flubber is, who are we going to sell this to in order to save the university?
I mean, there's still the Hawk. I don't think their name is Hawk anymore.
No,
but there's still
different.
like
but this is a matter of like
Croft. No.
It's a matter of which capitalist do you want to give this thing to, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they're not giving it to whoever that guy is because they don't like him.
Honecker.
That's it.
Right.
You know?
There's also like the college rival. Like, when we meet him, there's this really painful... Well, it was like, I was watching it and I was like, God, the exposition is painful, but I'm enjoying Christopher McDonald's performance so much that I don't mind. Where he's like, yes, we used to be partners. And I know I was never as brilliant as you, but you know what I did? I stole your inventions. I admit it, and I sold them for money
because I'm petty and double crossing, and I'm gonna steal your girlfriend.
Yeah, he was just so enjoyable to watch. I didn't mind that those were the lines that were coming out. But it's the same thing where it's like the rival professor and absent-minded professor is a humanities guy, and this rival professor is another like physical chemist. Yeah, the bad guy. Chester Honecker, which is such a worse name than Alonzo P. Hawk. Yeah. Come on, John Hughes. What are you doing, dog? I mean, I guess they're more like gonna steal it so that they can, but their goal is also to make money. Yeah. But the goal is all money, right? It's like the college needs $10 million or it'll close. And Robin Williams is like, the patent will belong to the college. And so that's why they go and sell. I guess in this instance, you know, hopefully Ned got Philip. Oh my God, they changed it. Hopefully Professor Brainerd got a good patent lawyer on board. So they're really like maybe doing like a 90-year lease on the idea. Certain amount of like residuals due to the school for every unit sold with like a large upfront fee to cover that $10 million. Like, you know, and then it reverts to like the Brainerd Trust so that his kids can still be wealthy. Like that would be nice. Ideally a profit split with the school. You know, you can be beneficial, like give 70% to the school, keep 30%. It's still going to set you up for life. You know, that would be like if you invented the microchip and like had the patent on the microchip. Yeah. And then like every microchip ever made from then on, you got like several dollars from. Your family would be the richest.
We can't have that though.
I wish my dad was Flubber.
Your dad is plenty cool.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, it's like there was this expectation in American culture for so long that we were just going to be making nuclear fusion level breakthroughs like every decade or two. Yeah. And it's so interesting to me to watch these movies and see how much we model ourselves not on like the abstract ideas happening in these movies, but just on the aesthetic of them. That like
elaborate.
I will. That like tech industrialists right now, they think this is actually how science works. That it's one guy in a basement.
Yeah.
And that
a genius.
A lone genius in a basement who like
right.
makes all these wondrous magical things and does so because they can predict every contingency at the outset or whatever. The kind of like the Rick Sanchez kind of genius that can just like construct a time machine in an afternoon, And but that's not how science works,
Right.
It's never been how science works.
Right.
Even just on a logistical basis, like you have to replicate experiments, you have to try everything 50 billion times, that like science requires a lot of waste.
Yeah, it does. It does really feel like a lot of the modern industry has bought into the story of science as opposed to the reality.
Yeah,
of science.
they just think that science is supposed to look cool. And sort of, they can't think of an application for science that isn't just further conveniencing people who already have expendable income and can make their lives, as convenient as possible. And like, this is like the waste involved here. I think we're like kind of starting to finally, realize what a delusion that is. Like sinking fucking $70 billion into the metaverse. Bad use of money. You don't get to use that much money to pursue this project because this project is literally impossible and there are actual problems to be solved. But it's like
there was this like, I don't remember exactly where, and I don't know how true it is, but I'm gonna repeat it anyway because we're on the internet and that's what you do. There was a thing that I read from someone doing like an economic analysis of like the investment and spend of OpenAI right now, which is like assuming a certain amount of like wealth creation, whatever that means, the amount of money that OpenAI is spending and the amount of investment in OpenAI is only justified if like they take over the entire world's economy.
Yeah, that's their goal.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is bad.
It's bad. I mean, that's the thing about the position we're in right now, where it's like that's not possible.
Yeah.
But even if we believed everything that they were saying, the outcome that they envision is undesirable.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like a world I want to live in.
Yeah.
But
imagine a world where you don't have to contribute anything at all, where you can just exist and have all of your dopamine levers firing at all times.
Oh my God.
Imagine a world with no purpose.
But like,
Yay.
Isn't it? It's just so depressing to me to watch a movie like Flubber and think, oh my God, this is who they think they are. Like, this is the performance they're putting on. They're playing pretend as Robin Williams in Flubber and asking us all to think like Robin Williams. Wow, how cute, how eccentric, That's so interesting to me when there's like, and I mean, I guess it's just sort of, it will be very interesting, I think, to future anthropologists to look back at a movie like this and see how culturally embedded this idea of the scientist as an archetype is, It's kind of like a new archetype produced by the atomic age that I don't really think existed in any other way except maybe as a wizard, which kind of goes back to my thing of like all these guys think they're doing actual magic and that's their job is to be magicians, But like, it's like they watch a movie like Flubber, they see Weibo, and they think of Weibo as an actionable goal, regardless of the utility of something like Weibo. Because what they're looking for is some kind of like...
The goal is just stuff. It's not like...
I mean, I would say that the goal is a character arc. It's like they're looking for some kind of palatable conflict in their lives where it's where like the outcome is clear, like how your life is going to go if you have a sentient robot in your house that's causing minor problems for you. It's like, I don't think that they're thinking through the actual implications of what an AI actually would be. They're just thinking about what a typical nerdy man's life could be conceptualized as if instead of all this normal technology, he also had this like fancy AI that's trying to seduce him. And wouldn't that be cute and funny? Like, I literally don't think they're thinking past that.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So someone should make a time machine and then go and kill science fiction. And then we'll be saved.
Don't do that.
Awesome.
Don't build time machines and don't kill science fiction. Science fiction is good. Science fiction is not the problem. It's people losing all their literacy, just taking things as literally as is possible to take. Yeah, I'm on the humanities professor side, an absent-minded professor.
There is
she should leave him.
there is such a weird. We've talked about this before, and we'll talk about it again because it's just so alien. Not that there's like a right way to interpret stories, but I think there is definitely a wrong way to do it.
Oh yeah.
And like, just to use Flubber as an example, it's like Robin Williams wants the money for the very express purpose of saving the college.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he as a character doesn't want to be rich. He doesn't need to be rich. Like, the two important
Yeah, they
things
say
in
it.
his life
If we wanted to make money, we wouldn't have become teachers.
Yeah. The two most important things in his life are his wife and his students.
Mm-hmm.
Or his eventual wife and his students. And his science. The three most important things are like science, students, wife.
Mm-hmm.
In no particular order. And then like, I don't know if like these guys watch Flubber specifically, but it's like if you watch Flubber and you go, he made how much money off of that weird science thing? That's awesome.
Uh-huh.
I want to make that much money and ignore all the rest of it of like, well, the people who want to make the money are the bad guys.
Yeah.
Right? The people who like are like, money is the thing that matters the most, are villains, as they should be. Let me remind you, I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and this is a huge tangent. I don't think we have time to talk about it really in depth, but I've been thinking a lot about caste systems because there's this idea among like the tech idiots. I'm sorry, the tech-brained idiots. As opposed to the other kind of idiots of like the permanent underclass.
Yes.
That AI is going to cause, which like, no, it's not. That's not how it works. That's not how life. There's no situation that is so stable that a class will like solidify forever.
Well, capitalism requires an underclass.
Well, capitalism requires an underclass, but stable capitalism requires you to be able to escape the underclass.
Yes. It's just the presence of the underclass. I mean, really, truly one of the central problems with capitalism is that the presence of an underclass becomes a cultural necessity, Right. And it makes no sense.
You need to be able to leave it, right? Because if the underclass becomes too permanent, then they just start killing people to get out of it. Like that's the reason there's never going to be like a permanent underclass, because as soon as it seems inescapable, all the rich people start dying. Like we've seen,
and these
that
rich people
before.
don't even have the good sense to like hide their intentions. It's nuts.
I know.
It's so insane. Like
it's really dumb.
It's like they don't donate. They don't like build anything. They don't slap their names on any schools or any like, charities in any way that's publicly visible.
They didn't like what they're... They were like, why am I spending so much money on a PR team when I could just post a joke on Twitter and then everybody loves me? Yeah. Anyway,
and then
so I've been thinking
and then they bitch about how nobody likes them. It's
embarrassing. So I've been thinking a lot about class, and I've been thinking about a lot about class and like the traditional sort of like born into a class style of like medieval Europe, which is the one that I'm most familiar with. And there was a very strong class hierarchy. Yeah. And across the world, in every civilization, the merchant has always been way down low.
Yes. Yes.
Way low. It goes almost universally. It goes from bottom to top. It goes laborer, merchant, artisan, warrior, priest, king.
Yeah,
royalty.
In fact, I've been thinking about this for my very eventual Predator video, I'm sure, because I've had to put it on the back burner for the dissertation. But like, historically, the warrior class and the merchant class were like at serious odds.
Mortal enemies.
Yeah. And so it's like really, really odd to see this emergence of a merchant class that is styling itself as a warrior class also, you know?
Yeah.
Where it's like the things that make you like a big, strong guy are business things also, you know?
Yeah.
It's so weird.
But it's like all of these cultures, which a lot of these members of the modern merchant class are like, we need to return to this ethos. It's like, if you sell things, you are scum.
Yeah.
If you
everybody in history knew this.
If you make your living buying something from one person and selling it to someone else is the same thing, you are barely better than like the illiterate peasant in the field. I think it's so interesting what you said of like, they also like, there's part of the modern businessman that knows that they're scum. And so they're like, we're actually warriors.
Yeah.
We're cool. We're good.
It's actually like super sick and based that I'm a terrible person because it means I'm honest.
And I think like as long as they have terrible PR, which they will forever, because, you know, they're too rich to have any consequences until the blade comes down. That's a metaphor. I don't advocate for the death of people in recorded conversation or ever.
I mean, this is part of what MAGA does also.
Yeah.
That makes it such an ally of tech oligarchs, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like the way that MAGA styles itself and the MAGA aesthetic, it's like Trump and everybody around him, they look like freaks. They're like, I don't think that's this is not me being like mean about people's appearances. They are going out of their way to get all these procedures that make them look like clowns. And the reason they're doing that, I think, is because it's like, it's conspicuous consumption. It's like, well, why am I going to get all these, you know, fancy procedures done if it's not apparent to people that I spent all this money on that? Right. You know? And so it has to look bad.
It's like the plastic surgery version of how the really big brands, like the bigger the brand name, the more expensive the item.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the item will be hideous so that people pay attention to the fact that it's like Dior, for instance.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. I was once in Saint-Tropez with a very rich individual, and I was like tagging along on like a family outing, and we went into the Dior store in Saint-Tropez, which, as you might imagine, everything there was super expensive. And there was this fucking hideous bag, like this, like yay big, not that, I don't know, normal handbag size, and it was so ugly. It was like patchwork, a giant logo in a very garish location, and I was like, oh, this must be the cheap option that they have out for all the pores who come in. This has to be like $300. It was like 12,000 euros.
Fucking Christ!
It was crazy.
I went to
I was blown away.
Yeah, there's a rich people thrift store in WeHo, whose name I forget. But I went in there once, and some of the stuff was kind of cute. But
is it Out of the Closet?
Maybe. That sounds familiar. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an appropriate name for WeHo. Yeah, for a WeHo thrift store.
Yeah.
And like some of it was kind of cute, well made, whatever. But it's amazing. It was like most of the stuff was just like, baggy, torn, giant logos, like you said. It's so weird. It's like, it's a kind of poverty cosplay that you desire when that becomes, I guess, like almost a utility for you when you reach a certain degree of wealth. You know, you get like really, really concerned that people not see you as out of touch, and so that's why you dress yourself in these manners. It's so
I don't
bizarre.
think they dress themselves. I think a lot of rich people at a certain level have people dress.
Oh, for sure. Like,
remember, is Mark Zuckerberg still doing that stupid ass transformation?
Where he looks
Mark
like
Zuckerberg, recent photo.
Puerto Rican poppy Mark Zuckerberg.
He looks so
dumb. I do think that
he only has 17 million followers on Instagram. That's embarrassing, Mark. You own the platform.
He is wearing that stupid gold necklace, I think, still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the facial expressions to pull it off.
No. This is so off topic, but it's like, this is, I genuinely think, all downstream from, you know, plucky guy in the garage building a robot. You know, that's the image we want to have about how progress works and how science works, and that, like, the only legitimate discoveries are made by a single person who sells it.
Do you remember I sent you, there's a Substack account that's just like leaked tech emails.
Mm-hmm.
And they share tech emails that have come out like in discovery during lawsuits.
Yeah.
And there's an email from Zuckerberg like somewhat recently to his team, to his like Meta team.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the email is they're talking about how Facebook isn't cool anymore. And somewhere he's like, I feel like when people see me on Facebook, they don't realize that I have all these cool friends like surfers and MMA fighters. And I think that's a failing of Facebook. I think of that every time I see him anywhere, in any photo. And it just like...
He's not a smart guy. None of these are smart. It's Mark Zuckerberg, I also found in one such email drop that like... around those same conversations about like how do we make people use Facebook again, his ideas were shit like
restart Facebook
restart Facebook totally, wipe everybody's friends list and make them start from scratch. That's stupid.
I'm not the biggest Facebook historian. I don't invest in Meta because I don't believe in them as a company. And I think it's a bad product. Not like bad, like doesn't make money, like bad, like it rots your soul. Mm-hmm. I think if you look at Meta and Facebook casually, it's a guy who had one good idea and then copied the fuck out of everybody else.
Yeah, well, had one good idea that itself wasn't even his own idea. I mean, like, I think he independently had it, but like Friendster already existed, MySpace already existed. Like the idea that you could just like, sort of centralize everybody's social connections doesn't take a fucking genius.
Right.
The only thing that made Facebook was its packaging, that it was like was like classy, and then like
Yeah, and then all the things that like made his company work were either like acquired or ripped off from other companies.
Yeah, and it's so bizarre how like once these companies get to a certain position, like a certain position of growth, once they get big enough, it's like they start recreating the actual scientific method, but in a really stupid way because everything has to be funneled into what's best for the image of the company. Like science is always cooperative. You are not supposed to be an expert in absolutely everything. You have to cross-reference your own ideas with other people. Yeah, you literally can't be. And it is absolutely, it is so preposterous to like expect that you should, that anybody should.
One of my favorite sayings recently is that everybody's a moron, including me. Because I do that, like I'm relatively smart and I trick myself into thinking that I'm smarter than I am all the time.
Oh, who doesn't? Yeah.
Oh my God. And so I just try to like remember, like, no, dumbass, like you don't actually.
You're fundamentally an idiot about so much.
I've got the kind of brain where it's like I'll make an educated guess and I'll be right like 70% of the time.
Right.
Or
yeah.
right-ish.
Yeah.
70% of the time. And I'm like, I knew that. And I was like, no, you didn't. You stupid asshole. You guessed well.
Yeah.
You don't know that for a fact.
Right.
You extrapolated information.
Right.
Like,
that doesn't mean you know shit.
Yeah. Other people know most things better than you. Not everything.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. And that's why Flubber is bad. Tied it back.
We went all the way around the block.
Yeah.
Now we're home. I remember Flubber being really, really popular when I was a kid, and somehow I never watched it.
Yeah. I remember watching Flubber, and I did not remember a single thing. I remembered Flubber being sentient.
Yeah, I remembered that. Because it was in all the trailers.
When Weibo showed up, I was like, what the fuck? Mm-hmm. When did this happen?
And when she projects herself into a pretty lady...
Oh yeah,
it's so bizarre.
I wrote down, oh my God, it's Blade Runner. I should have said, oh my God, it's Blade Runner 2049. But that's when she did that, because like that's what Joy does. Mm-hmm. And spoilers, Blade Runner 2049, which is a really great movie in my opinion.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, I really like Denis Villeneuve. He's my favorite.
I do too.
He's my favorite blockbuster director. Mm-hmm. I think he uses visual effects like better than anybody else, period. But it's really good. I remember at the beginning of the movie, because the robot is like happy that he misses his wedding.
Yes.
That Professor Brainerd misses his
Yeah,
wedding.
she's sabotaging his life.
And I was like, right away, I was like, I hope there's a better reason for this than the robot is secretly in love with the professor.
Right.
And it did not happen.
No, it didn't. And like, man, I really wonder about our sort of collective AI psychosis, you know, because like this is always the kind of shit that happens in any kind of AI movie. Like it always goes wrong, you know. And it's so utterly strange to me that of all the things that they take super literally about sci-fi, that's not one of them, you know. What could go wrong with AI though, you know?
I think that's actually like really interesting, and it's a conversation I want to have more of, and I feel like it'll work better when we have something that's actually like about robots.
Yeah, and
But like,
we'll do a whole sci-fi season. That'll be fun.
Like, yeah, we will. My favorite movie ever is WALL-E.
I know that about you.
So,
cute robots.
It's so cute. But it's like, in real life, there has to be a thing at a metaphysical level that separates you, a human person, from a series of wires that simulates consciousness.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the things about WALL-E is that all those robots are specialized.
Right.
And the kinds of robots that we're trying to build now aren't, which is just a demented way to approach robotics, you know?
I think beyond that, because I think a lot of people, like, you know, when they face something new, they look to stories about
Oh, yeah,
of
course.
There's a lot of robot stories, right? There's bad robot stories.
Yeah, but those
Terminator.
robot stories are trying to say something about the human condition and the like, the society that
I
they
was
live
making
in
a
then.
whole. I was gonna make a whole good point, and you just fucking jumped to the end. That's devastating.
No,
so, yeah.
say your point. Say your point.
Well, basically, the point is that, like, and I think this is why thinking, I don't even want to say media literacy, because it's not even media literacy. It's just like the ability to think about stuff.
Yeah.
Is like,
it's just abstract thought.
Whatever the subject of a movie, like, movies are always about something else.
Yeah.
Right? Alien is not about aliens.
Yes.
It's about the feeling that they started having in the 70s and early 80s of like, oh, maybe corporations do not have our interests at heart. Right? It's about gender equality in a way. It's about like the sacrifice that people expect of like working class people for no good reason. And I think like being able to see robots in a piece of media, and especially a piece of media that explores like, are they people? Do they have souls? Do they deserve individuality? And recognize that like whatever conclusion the movie comes to, or whatever conclusion you come to watching the movie, is like fundamentally different from when that happens in real life.
Yeah.
Like Anthropic right now, which is my favorite AI company. And I say that, you know, like you can have like
in so much as you can have it
killed. Like if I were to be executed, I would have a favorite. Still don't want it to happen. But like there's a lot of internal stuff about like, oh my God, we've developed a new form of consciousness, which I think requires a level of disconnect that is hard to come by.
Say more about
in
that.
real life. Like, well, so I'm not AI pilled. I think we're all aware of this. I have used it a few times for some tasks. I guess I'm not using it right because it's never like blown me away. It's always just been like, all right. And I think if you're really sensitive to like words, I'm not saying I'm like I have 100% like if you use AI to write, I'm gonna figure it out, because I don't think I will. But it's like I've read enough AI output that like there are tells.
Oh, yeah,
and I'm not even talking about the obvious tells of like the M dash.
No, it's just the syntax of the thing. The air of the person you are reading is like absent. It's
or
like
it's
cobbled
like,
together.
Like,
it feels strange.
Yeah, or it's like you take a paragraph to say something that's like the actual thought is 4 words long.
Right.
You know, and it's like I think people are so impressed by the fact that there is an output like that that they don't actually look at what it is.
Yeah. Well, and this is
you
all...
know, it's like, we made a machine that produces dog shit out of nothing. And you're like, what? Out of nothing?
Well, and that's like, that's the whole aesthetic thing where it's like, you know, this is all coming from just sort of sci-fi set dressing. Rita, get out of here. She's hungry. This all comes from sci-fi set dressing, and but sci-fi set dressing, like you and I both know that set dressing is not arbitrary. You know, there are thematics that are of concern.
Yeah.
And that's what sci-fi is about. And if you just ignore all of the, you know, all of the narrative function of what a robot is doing in a movie, then you don't understand what, like, you should not be trusted to go anywhere near robotics, you know? Like, I found a really great tweet about this exact thing the other day. Rita, get out of here.
Yeah, hit me.
The tweet is, reading about Icarus, but stopping 2/3 through. Wow, he really did it. He flew super close to the sun with no consequences.
Yeah, I mean,
you gotta read the whole story.
I've always been a proponent. Like, I despise fully CG scenes in movies. I think they're bad. I think they're terrible. I love when CG accentuates practical effects. I was just watching this video before we started of like why the original Pacific Rim feels so different from like other movies. And it's like part of it is like in the animation, but like one of the other things is like Guillermo del Toro was the director, and he was like, you can't, like, it doesn't matter how cool the animation is, like you need to have practical moments to ground the audience and make them really feel what's happening. I think AI is a similar thing where it's like everyone's looking at what it's, or I guess the business folk are so busy looking at what it can do. There's not really any like conversation at the levels that this conversation needs to be happening of what it should do.
Well, yeah, right? It's not solving any problems except that the stock price needs to go higher next quarter.
Yeah, there's I think this was like Noah Smith on Substack. He wrote this really interesting thing of like all of the things that AI does, we didn't need a solution for. Like one of the reasons that this podcast that this is like an every 2 weeks podcast is because like we're both more concerned about putting out something good than just putting out something.
Yeah, not so good that we're willing to consistently do research though.
Yeah. I mean, well, what we need to just get back in the rhythm of it. But like one of the reasons I still believe in like movies and TV, and one of the reasons I fucking hate vertical video, like period, is the quality thing. Like I get so much more out of my life sitting and watching one thing for like 2 hours than I do watching 1,000 things over that same 2 hours.
Oh yeah, totally. Of
you
course.
know, so it's like quantity is already not an issue. And now there's even more stuff. Like that's not the thing that needs to be solved.
No.
Right?
No. Well,
so
and this is like part of the argument for AI in art that is just so asinine, and that you know, that will be summarily excised from everybody's vocabulary whenever we get through whatever this is. But like the idea that art is like a pretty thing that you want to look at. Yeah. You know, like that's what AI and art is supposed to do. And when you hear people talking about how AI and art is actually good, it's always that like, well, what's wrong with like more beautiful things existing in the world? And it's like, well, what's wrong with it is that I don't. What's
the point?
Yeah, well, because like the point is not to look at something pretty. The point is to be a participant in a conversation between you and the artist.
I'm not normally like a visual art guy. Like it's just never affected me too much. But the most beautiful painting I've ever seen was a Vincent van Gogh painting that was on display at the Museum of Art in Sao Paulo. The painting is called A Walk at Twilight. And it's the most beautiful thing it's the most beautiful painting I've ever seen. And it doesn't look as good. Or it still looks really nice when you see it on a screen. But when you see it in person, you can see like all those little details that like
that's important.
You can see the brushstroke where
it's the same thing about that people will say about film stock. Yeah,
but in particular, like I saw this painting, and I could like, it's a relatively like pleasant image, but through the brushstroke, I could see how miserable he was and how like hard he was trying to be happy and to not be miserable. And I could tell, you know, because we all know that Van Gogh killed himself, but I could tell like he painted this like very close to when that happened. And that's not like, that's art.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it doesn't have to be that,
Yeah,
right? But
it's a description of an experience. It's not a decoration.
No, it's and it can be used
of course,
as
yeah.
decoration, and that's fine, but it needs to, like, the artist is giving a part of themselves. They're giving a gift, you know? And it's like, I think anyone can do art. You know, I don't think it's only reserved for like certain groups of people, but it needs to be like effortful.
Well, and it's
you
not
know what
only,
I mean? It needs to be on.
Yeah.
You know,
well, and not only is it like a misunderstanding of the purpose of art to treat it that way, to treat it like it's just a decoration that can just be replicated by a machine, but it's so utterly insulting to the, you know, I don't know, the whatever spirit it is that animates our art drive, you know, like our desire to express ourselves in ways other than language, or in ways that language just can't capture, you know. Robin Williams understood this. He himself was extremely depressed, partially because of his necessary participation in the Hollywood machine. And this is like, this is why he didn't let Disney, you know, overuse his image, which they did anyway, which I can't think, you know, did any favors for his mental health. Like, Robin Williams did not want to be seen as just, you know, Robin Williams wanted to be a clown in the classic sense, not in the commodified sense. And it's just so depressing how gradually the difference between the two has just been collapsed since the 80s. You know?
Yeah.
Fuck Reagan.
I mean, you know, famously, like, Van Gogh was never successful, and that's also part of why he committed suicide.
Yeah, totally. Of course, obviously.
There's a middle ground. I think the world would be better if everyone just improv'd at each other. just like had fun.
Isn't that just conversations?
No, because it's like, because in improv you're like playing.
Okay.
You know, so the goal, like, you know,
people should LARP
like,
more often. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, basically. I like improv. Anyway, anything else?
No, I guess not. We've been sitting here for 2 hours and went way off topic, and
my butt hurts.
Made Flubber depressing, as we do with all these movies that we look at. I'll make The Parent Trap depressing too. Don't worry.
No. What is there depressing about Lindsay Lohan? Absolutely. Thank you so much for listening to episode 2 of our little mini season of the Disney live action remakes. If you want to support us financially, get access to some bonus episodes when we figure out what we're going to do with those, or which of those we're going to do. Oh, Freaky or Friday, whenever we get around to that. The sequel to Freaky Friday will be Patron exclusive. You can go to patreon.com/oncemorewithfeeling, or click on the link in our show notes. You'll get access to our fun Discord with great little conversations every day from a bunch of little nerds.
Including us.
Who like talking about stuff, including us. You can also do other things, like follow us on the social media. Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, YouTube. If you don't want to do that, another way to help out, leave a rating, leave a comment.
Yeah, please do that.
Be like 5 stars, 1 star, thumbs up, thumbs down. Click the subscribe button, click the follow button, click a comment like square, and then just sort of type randomly and then hit enter. Reply to someone else's comment and go, "You're wrong, dummy," and then have a flame war.
Start a little flame war.
Yeah. Can you tell we're millennials? I don't think they say flame war anymore.
Think so.
Do you have like a friend that you kind of like, but like not that much? and you're okay with losing them forever, just bother them until they either shut you out of their life or finally listen to our podcast. Are you going on a date? Are you picking up the guy, girl, or other on the date? Have our podcast playing while you pick them up. And then they go, wow, this is really insightful. What are you listening to? And then you go, this really great podcast called Once More with Feeling. Do you want a link to it? And then send them a link and watch them over their shoulder as they sign up. I can't think of another way to. Yeah, all good options. Next week, we will be doing next episode, we will be doing The Parent Trap.
Yay!
And also The Parent Trap.
Formative movie for me.
Yeah, and that will be the first of like several Lindsay Lohan remakes that we're doing. She was kind of Disney's like girl.
Yeah, inadvertently do a bunch of Lindsay
2000s.
Lohan history here.
Hell yeah. That's what the years are going to be. It's not going to be U.S. history. It's going to be Lindsay Lohan history. Season 2, our horror season is coming together. We just booked our first couple guests. Mm-hmm. That's exciting. See you next time. Outro music.
Outro music.
Too often stripped of love.